And a judge would say, do you have a boyfriend?
You don't have time for a relationship.
Not all men are bad. You just have to find the right man for you.
A girl should be independent. She should not feel like she has to have her boyfriend stuck up her rear the whole weekend.
Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Pageant Mafia.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you again today.
Yeah.
Love talking to my girl.
So with this podcast, we are going to start hitting on things that everyone can really relate to that isn't just pageant related. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about relationships, and not friendship relationships this time, boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, a mom's point of view on it, my point of view on it as a young adult and also a young teen. But you want to kick it off,
Yeah,
Mom?
sure I do. You know, when your daughter starts getting to the point where they want to have a boyfriend, you think that's a hard time. It's a hard time. And we're talking about relationships with mother and daughter. And rather than when we start getting daddy in it, it's a whole different game. Okay,
Right.
So we're just talking, it's girl talk.
Right.
Okay, this is girl talk. This isn't dad talk. But when you get into a relationship or get a boyfriend, you know, what is the right time? What is the right age? What is allowed? What isn't allowed? You know, that's a tough call for moms and families.
Right.
But I think everybody is emotionally at a different time in their life. I know some 16-year-olds that could have a boyfriend, and then I know some 16-year-olds that it would scare me to death. So I think it all goes into what you instill in your daughter from a young age too.
I agree with that. I don't think there is a set age. Kind of like everyone saying, "Oh, when you're 18, you're an adult." I don't like that saying either, because like you said, I feel like it's emotionally, when you're emotionally ready and when you're in the right headspace and when you know what's right and when you know what's wrong,
Right.
and when you are a little bit more mature. When you are immature and when you are dating, that's when bad things can happen, and when you're not educated enough on a relationship and what a proper relationship is supposed to demonstrate and be.
Right. And you know, moms, I know, always want what's best for their daughter, but sometimes moms forget that it's not them that's having to date the boy.
Right.
You know, yes, you have standards, moms, and that's what you want to have. And before we even get into this, I want to say something to anybody that's listening and watching us today. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that I'm an expert in this field by any means whatsoever. Okay, I'm just giving a perspective as to just what I think and some viewpoints, and it's just a mom girl talk.
Right.
Just, you know, moms and daughters, take away from it what you would like.
Right.
And I'm in no way saying everything I say is the standard.
Because I have a sister, and I feel like her dating experience was a complete 180 from
Right.
my dating experience and when I started dating. So you
Absolutely.
can't compare the girl. Once again, you have to compare the
Right.
emotional side
And
of things.
and you and your sister were both raised the same way.
Right.
Okay? Not 100%, because y'all do have a different father. But as a mom-daughter relationship, it was the same. You know, so but y'all are different people.
Right.
You have your insides are different. You were emotionally and
I'm way more emotional than my sister.
right, but you're also I don't
Well.
know. But I'm just saying what was right for you may not be right for her, and what was right for her may not be right for you. So every situation is individual. But I do think when it's time for your daughter to have a boyfriend, it's really important that you support what she's interested in. You know, I know you and I would always have a talk, and I'd be like, well, who's your boyfriend? Like when you were in middle school, okay?
Right.
And what do you like about him? You know, to me, it's important for me to hear what you liked about your boyfriends.
Right.
What interests you?
Oh, you're like asking me
I mean,
as
what?
a question?
But I already know the answer. But I'm just saying, my whole point is, again, it's not about what your mama liked in a man.
Right.
It was about what interested you, and the fact, I will say this, that what your dad and I had was we had a friendship first. We were friends.
Right.
We genuinely liked to be around each other. We made each other laugh. We were friends before we ever started dating. And I think that's valuable in a relationship, is you have to form a friendship, and you have to understand where everybody is and where they stand with certain situations and thoughts.
I had like, when I say boyfriends, it was like in middle school, it was kind of just like, I probably thought it was like the biggest thing in the world, but it was just like little like flings and just like little hangouts and just stuff like that. Like I remember mom and dad would like take us to the movies and stuff
Right.
like that. But I appreciated that because it wasn't like, oh my gosh, you don't need to be dating yet. It was more like a friend that's a boy. Sure,
Right.
he can go to the movies with us and go to dinner with us. It was never pressured filled, and I'm glad on that. And also, I do want to say, moms that are listening, I am talking to you on this. Your daughter is a little scared to probably talk to you about it because it can be an uncomfortable situation. So, moms, open up to your daughters a little bit more about your dating experience too. Because I feel like as daughters, we see, oh, you're married, life's good, life's perfect. You've never had a heartbreak, you're happy, and you're married. You know, like I feel like that's what daughters see from their moms rather than moms being vulnerable with their daughters, saying, like, hey, yeah, this was my dating experience. Like
Right.
in your case scenario, you've told me about your first marriage and things like
Right.
that. Moms, open the door a little bit more, but also don't be too pushy to the point where I just feel like there's a happy medium between it, and it is person by person to find that happy medium with mother and daughter, and to have that comfortability
I know what you mean.
comfortability with your mom and daughter, not to feel like you're judging, just like a
Right.
girl talk, like we said
Right.
at the beginning.
Right. And it is important. And moms don't have to tell their daughters everything that they don't need to know
Yeah.
at a certain age, but it's very important to keep an open line of communication. And that's what I've always tried to do. And I've always said, I am mom first. Then I can be your friend.
Right.
And I can be your friend, but I'm not the friend that tells you what you want to hear, or the friend that's cool and lets you get away with anything. I'm mom
Right.
number one. But if you don't have a friendship and a relationship
Right.
with your daughter, moms, you have to. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you never really wanted to tell me.
Right.
And I will tell you, getting into your teenage years is really, really hard. And you know, it's a little bit trying when you're first getting into your teenage years, and you're not sure what you can say to your mom or your daughter, and you don't want to go too far. But it's okay to say, how was your day at school?
Right.
I saw the little boy you were talking to at the pickup line,
Right.
or he's kind of cute,
Right.
or
And I feel like as teens, and especially as a girl, your emotions are all over the
right.
place. And for your parents to be sympathetic with your emotions, even though they might not understand it. Like, I remember vividly, like, my first, like, true heartbreak where I felt like the world was freaking ending. I texted mom and dad in that group chat that night and was like, y'all, I'm not going to school in the morning. Like, my eyes are swollen shut. Like, I'm not going to school in the morning. And instead of both of y'all pushing me, you were like, okay, we're going on a shopping trip then. And dad texted me and was like, if you ever want to talk to someone, I'm here for you and I love you. Y'all didn't discount the facts of, oh, this is just a little middle school. I mean, this is just like a little high school breakup. You'll get over it. No, y'all respected my emotions. Even though y'all might have not agreed with it or whatever, y'all still considered the way that I was feeling. And I felt like that was important because then it showed me that I could open up to you guys further when I needed y'all.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
The thing about it is we may think it's just puppy love, or you may think, oh, that's silly, that's not even a relationship, but it is to you.
Right.
Your hurt is a valid hurt. Your hurt is as much as anybody else's hurt.
Right.
And to discount that is not real compassionate. And I know moms, you may think, well, it's better just not to make a big deal about it. Well, I didn't make a big deal about it, but I wanted you to understand that if you hurt, I hurt.
Right. And that it wasn't the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
Right.
And we're going to get through it. And it's okay to hurt. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to grieve, and you will get over it. And I'm saying that because, I was in my first marriage, I was married for 18 years.
Right.
I was married to a man for 18 years and had 3 kids. And I'm so thankful for that marriage, because if I hadn't have had that marriage, I would not have had my 3 kids, which I all love them all dearly. But in the end, my divorce and my marriage to your dad was the greatest thing ever, because your dad was the love of my life. And I married very young.
Right.
The first time, and I thought it was love.
And that's another thing that I do want to say to moms as well that you have never done that I'm appreciative of is, after a breakup, you never trashed someone. I feel like if I hear a mom saying, like, yeah, you should have never dated him, he was awful, all of this, all of that, that's putting in these girls' heads that all men are bad.
Right.
And I don't think that that's healthy to do that, because, like, you are supposed to get married one day and have kids and live a good life. Like, not all men are bad. You just have to find the right man for you. All right, girls, another video, another giveaway. So you can now win the Sophia Thomas t-shirt. All of these merch items came from Michelle's Swimwear that the manufacturers sent to us. All you have to do to win this is like, comment, and subscribe to this video. If you are a international fan, we will require you guys to pay shipping, just because it can be a little pricey, but we still appreciate you guys. So make sure y'all do those 3 little things for a chance to win this free t-shirt. But I feel like now, gosh, if someone breaks up or cheats on somebody or this or that, oh my gosh, they're this awful person, we hate them now.
No.
I don't think that that's the right way to grieve.
I don't think so either. When you make the decision to move on, or if your partner makes the decision to move on, then they're not meant for you. Right. It wasn't in God's will for that to be that way, and it doesn't make you feel better to trash someone else.
Right.
Move
We've talked
on.
about that. Yeah.
Right. Move on and be strong. But moms, you need to raise strong daughters. And I can't say, well, the reason your daughter's dealing with this is because of the way you raised her. That's not always true either.
Right.
We've seen that. But I will tell you, I knew you were strong. And I knew what you would look for in a young man, and that's what you've done, and you have to decide if that makes you happy. And as long as they're good to you, that's what's important.
Right.
But I know you, and I know you're not going to be in a relationship with somebody that's not good to you,
Right.
because you would never put up with it.
Right.
And everybody is different, but moms need to keep their ears open. You need to talk candidly to your daughters. I want to always talk to you. Are you hurting? What's wrong? What's going on?
But-
and keep your distance when your
Right.
daughter really doesn't want to talk.
That's what I was
either.
about to say. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes when you might ask me things, I'll be like, Mom, I don't want to talk about it right now. And you would say, okay. And then when I'm ready to talk about something, I will bring it back up.
Right.
But if I'm not ready, I simply just tell you, hey, I don't want to talk about it right now.
Right. And even though as a mom I'm dying on the inside to know, I respect that.
Right.
And that's the way it needs to be. If you want to have a successful relationship with your daughter. And then as she gets older, moms, you will realize that they are your best friend.
Yeah.
They are my, if someone calls me right now and says, hey, ladies, let's have a girls trip. Let's do this. Let's do that. Or what do you want to do? Or let's have girl time. When somebody tells me let's have girl time, I'm thinking, what are Ashlin and I about to do? I'm not thinking what girlfriend that I can go off with. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I'm saying my life is, I want to go off with my daughter. I don't really want to go off with anybody else.
And that's because we've built that relationship with each other, but kind of taken a spin on things. We've talked about boyfriends, relationships, and certain things, but also let's talk about boyfriends in the pageant world.
Right.
And what you think about that as well.
I think a well-rounded teenage girl, they're going to have a boyfriend,
Right.
and I think that's fine. And if they don't, that's fine too. If you're asking me, if my teenage daughter doesn't have a boyfriend, is that normal? Sure, that's great.
Yeah.
She can concentrate on her pageant. She can concentrate on school and life. She has the rest of her life to meet someone and have a relationship.
Right.
So I'm not rushing that at all. But if they do have a boyfriend, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But when you enter the pageant world, when a girl is competing, it's like it's a sport in a lot of ways, like we've talked about. It's no different than someone getting ready to go to the Olympics. Okay? To you, it is the Olympics, to a girl. And, coaches will say, you don't have time for relationships.
Or if I've had this question asked to me before during like mock interviews. I've never had this question asked to me in a real interview though. But it could happen. A judge would say, do you have a boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people in pageant world think you don't talk about boyfriends in pageant world. But I'm like, then everyone says that they want a relatable teen, a relatable miss.
Exactly.
So then I'm like, well, what do you want then?
Right. Are you saying you want a relatable queen or not?
Right.
Because if you want a relatable queen and she's a teenager, she's a Miss contestant, she probably has had a boyfriend or does have one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's companionship, and that's in us. We were born wanting companionship. We were born like Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
We were born to have a relationship eventually with someone, and that's nature.
Right.
But when you go to a pageant, ladies, your boyfriend needs to be at bay. They need to be at a distance.
And if they can't do that, then maybe don't bring them.
Right. When you go to a pageant, the boyfriend can stay home.
Right.
He doesn't have to be. A girl should be independent. She should not feel like she has to have her boyfriend, excuse me, but stuck up her rear the whole weekend to where she can't concentrate on what she's doing.
Right.
You know, there's a time and a place. Is if you're on a high school football team, is your high school football coach going to let your girlfriend jump on the bus and go with you to the ball game that night? Stand on the sidelines and baby you when you come in because you hurt your finger or something?
Right.
I mean, come on. Go to your pageant and do your thing.
Right. I would say I have had a boyfriend like to come with me during the pageant and things like that. However, that is when you have to adjust things. I am very confident in who I am, and I believe that I don't need no man, but I want a man. That's what it is. And if you have that mindset, and if you've established that mindset with your partner, for example, I can look at the person that I'm with and say, for 2 hours, I need to be left alone. I do not want to talk about anything. I need to get in my right mindset. Just leave me alone. And they will look at me and they will say, okay. However, not everyone's like that, though. You will have, are you sure? What else do you need? Do you need me to hold your hand walking down this hallway? Are your shoes okay? Do I need to? Oh my gosh, I would go insane because that's just me. Like, are you in a relationship with someone that's going to push you to your dreams? Or do you have someone that's going to make you second guess your dreams and make you feel like they're not accomplishable?
Well, and I might want to add, when we're talking about going to a pageant and your boyfriend did come with us, you were 18.
And graduated.
You were graduated from high school. You were 18 years old.
Right.
And that's different. But, you know, I do remember one of your pageant coaches that worked with you when you were younger. Mm-hmm. And he was the one that would always say that about the boyfriend. And it's kind of funny because it was Jorge.
Yeah.
And Jorge's joke, he'd say, do you know what a boyfriend is at a pageant? Mm-hmm. And you'd say, what? And he'd say, your cousin holding the camera.
Right.
And he'd laugh about it, meaning there's no time or place. They need to support you in that capacity. Right. And that's it.
Right.
You don't need a boyfriend at a pageant. Right. You need to be on your own, standing on your own 2 feet. You know,
if they want to come finals night,
to watch is we're not
and support and things like that. By all means, that is 100% acceptable. But we are talking about the pageant weeks, the pageant weekends, to where it's a multiple day competition. That is when I would get stressed out during these week competitions just because it's a week competition.
Right.
You know, like, there's other factors, and during week-long national pageants, you don't need any stress.
Right. And you're not, and it is only natural for the director to look at you and think, well, if she wins the pageant, is her boyfriend going to have to go everywhere with her?
Right.
Is she going to be able to stand on her own 2 feet? Is she interested in the crown, or is she interested in
just
being married?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you have to make a choice. Mm-hmm. And in today's world, you can be married and have that crown, but you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and the best thing to do is be honest with your daughter and your mother, and girls, talk to your moms. Talk to your moms. If it's important, in my opinion, for you to be able to come to me and say, Mom, I need to have a girl talk, not a judgment talk.
Right.
You know, and
I'm like, do you know how many times I'll call you and be like, I just need you to listen.
Right. I don't need you to say anything. Just listen to me. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what builds a good relationship between moms and daughters. Right. And we still learn every day. Mm-hmm. We're not perfect. Right. You get mad with me. I get mad with you. But we always meet in the middle.
And I would say, girls, don't be afraid to have those conversations with your mom, because even though you might think in your head, like, oh my gosh, that was like a million years ago when they were in high school.
Thanks, Ashlin.
No, but I'm just saying.
When I was getting on my horse and buggy, getting ready to go to school.
But I'm saying, like, as teens, like, teens do think, like, oh, my mom would never understand. But, like, you were also a teenager once. I
understand a lot more than you realize, because, you know, my grandfather, so I was raised by my grandparents. And when I used to say to my daddy, I'd say, you just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would say, times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd say, yeah, but we all still have the same feelings.
Yeah.
We all still felt the same.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
now I can hear him saying that, and he
Right.
was right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was dating, you know, I thought it was the end of the world, or I thought this or that and the other, and for me to discount someone else now is crazy.
Right.
You know, and I was a teenager just like you were at one time.
Right.
Of course, neither one of us are teenagers now.
I know we're
So,
both old now,
yeah,
Mom.
we're both old news, and I get older news every day.
Yeah. You guys, make sure y'all enter our giveaway. Y'all let us know if y'all like this video. I actually enjoyed this. I feel like it's something that everyone can kind of relate to.
I do too.
And y'all let us know down below if you're a teen. Let me know. Are you scared to open up to your mom? Do you feel like you and your mom have a great relationship to where you can open up? And moms that are watching, do you feel like your daughters would open up to you more? Let us know down below y'all's situation. But don't forget about that giveaway. Free stuff is on the line.
And for moms and daughters, if you need advice from a mom or a daughter, not professionally, of course, just opinion. You know, if y'all are dealing with an issue, if moms and daughters on here are dealing with an issue that you want us to address, message us. Yeah. Message us. We'll come on. We'll talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. Get your daughters, sit down, ask us the question, and we'll give you the best advice we can give you.
Yep, for sure. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.